Blind Beauty. When one door closes, open it back up. Don't give up. It may take finding the right key sometimes, but you can find the right key. The only door that can't be opened again is death.
Hello everyone and welcome to Blind Beauty. I'm Jennifer. What we are going to do today is I'm going to be continuing my beginner beauty series with eyeshadow. Right now, that's right, I have no eyeshadow on. I have the rest of my face done besides eyeshadow, liner, mascara, all that jazz, but everything else is done. So what we're going to be doing is I'm going to show you the basics of eyeshadow as well as talk you through the different brushes you might want to use, the different products you might want to use as well. And I'm going to do a demonstration as well. So let's jump on in here and talk about brushes for a moment. There are all sorts of brushes that you can use. I mean, I've got a bunch right here in my cup. But for a beginner, I would say pick up a little set like this. You can get a set at Walmart for about $5. This is the Eco Tools, I believe it's their dual eye brush set. I'm not sure the name of it, but it has one smaller flat brush on one side. And then you have a big fluffier brush on the opposite side. And on the other brush, you have a flat angled brush that's great for doing eyeliner, great for doing your brows, things like that. Then you have a longer but flatter brush on the other side too. So I'll talk to you about what each one of these are good for as well. Now, the one that I said had the small side there, I'm holding this up to where you can see it possibly. This is great for smudging out your eyeliner. It's good for getting it right in there in the outer V area of the lid. It's also great just to blend in shadow into your crease if you do have smaller eyes. I do have smaller eyes, so I look for something like that sometimes to really focus it right there in the actual socket. I'll use something like that. Now on the opposite end is that big fluffy brush that I was talking about. Looks like that right there. Now that is a great blending brush. I like to use it as a blending brush, or sometimes I'll even use it if I'm wanting to blow out a crease color or put on the highlight under the brow. So that's multi-use too. I mean, I've used that one fluffy side for the entire eyebrow eyeshadow look before. So yes, I get a little tongue-tied here. And then we'll talk about the angled brush on the other one here. It's a little slant tipped brush. Like I said, it's great for doing your brows. It's great for doing liner. It's even great for really defining that outer V. If you want to really put in a little extra work, you can define the outer V using that one as well. And on the opposite side here, if you can tell, it's a longer one than the other one that I showed you, the flat, but it's also a little bit wider too, but it makes for a great crease brush. Right here, you put it right there in the crease and you can really get in that crease area to define your crease. Now some people may hear, defining the crease, what is your crease? Where is your crease? How do I find my crease? Well, okay. If you were to take your pinky, or any finger really, you can even do it with your pointer finger, and go to your eye, and you feel where your eyeball ends, and you can feel it dip in. That right there is your crease. Some people may be like, well, what's the point in having a crease or whatever? That is whenever your eyes open up, like I just did here. That's the little part that folds down. Some people who have hooded eyes might not have much, or they may have too much of a fold. But still, that is where your crease is. Now, I like to define my crease. Some people don't care. I like to have a little bit of depth and dimension, and we'll be getting into all that here in a moment. But once you have your brushes, then it's time to say, okay, now what products do I need? You have different options here. There are so many options out there that you can choose from. I'm going to show you a couple here. Eye primer. Now you can get one from shopmissay.com, which is the perfect eyeshadow primer for $1. You can get this. e.l.f. has one that is about $2, but honestly I like the AOA Studio one even better. You can also get the Maybelline Master Prime right here. You can get that. And that's a great primer too. Now some of them, like I used to own the Milani eyeshadow primer. That's fairly expensive, like $6-7 I think. But still, the Milani primer has a little bit of a tint to it instead of it being just plain old sheer. Because today I went ahead and put a little bit of concealer on my eyes. That's why it kind of looks more uniform. And they look rather weird right now because I do have my eyebrows done and everything. But I used my neutralizer concealer on my lids and then I set it with powder. And you can do that too. Just use a concealer instead of an actual primer. The reason you want to use a concealer or a primer is so that it helps the shadows to grab on a little bit better. You're creating a smooth canvas to do your eyeshadow. And to me that is very important. But you can also use a liquid shadow. Like this here is the e.l.f. Molten Liquid Shadow in Rose Gold, I believe is the name of this. Yeah, Rose Gold. Now this here, it does have a tint to it, of course, because it is meant to be a liquid shadow. And some people may choose to just use this and nothing else, and that will work with some liquid shadows. If you want more of a gel-like shadow, you can pick up the Maybelline Color Tattoos. This one here is in Barely Branded. I've heard that this is a dupe for some of the MAC Painterly, I believe. Looks like that there. Put this on my hand as well. You can tell it's more of a skin tone. Well, it's a lot lighter than my skin tone. But right there, and you can put that all over the lid to give a base. Now, why would you want a colored base? Some of you may want to know that. Why would you want something that actually has color? You may have some redness or some darkness or whatever on your lids or even in the crease area or whatever. And a colored base like these helps to cancel that out to where you do have a more uniform canvas to put eyeshadow on top of. Now for me, like I said, I used the concealer today on my lids, so my eyelids don't have the darkness like they usually do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with the primer, and I'll use the AOA Studio primer first, and I'm going to put that on my lids. Now you don't want to go overboard, like a few dots, you know, or even a couple of swipes across your lid. There we go. And I put it on the main lid part, but then I blend up to the brow bone. And if you don't have enough, you can tell if it doesn't want to move for you. So, and I didn't get enough on there. But whenever you go to blend it, use your finger. Your ring finger is the weakest finger. I don't know if you knew that. But you can use your ring finger and blend this out to where it really does have a uniform texture. Now some people like to set this, some people don't. I know Emily Noel was talking about that one day during her videos, that people ask her, well, why don't you set it? Well, sometimes you do need something for that shadow to grab onto, depending on the formula of shadows. But, you know, it's all personal preference and what you like, what you want. You can also use the stick pencils, like NYX Milk is a white pencil. I don't think I own that one anymore, honestly, but you can get NYX Milk, you can get some LA Colors ones that work. Basically, just play with it. You can go to the Dollar Tree, I think, sometimes and find little stick eyeshadow pencils and do it all over your lid. You can also take a eyeliner, like the retractable eyeliners. Of course, you'll use it up a lot faster if you do that, and put that all over the lid too to help cancel things out. So you can make do with whatever you have if you don't want to go out and buy a new product. But I would say use a nude colored eyeliner or a white colored eyeliner. Personally, I've never tried using a brown eyeliner all over the lid, but you know, if you're wanting to go for a smoky eye, I say you can give it a shot. But for me, I don't like to do that. So, got something in my eye here. Okay, now then, once you have your eyelids set and ready for shadow, there are so many eyeshadow palettes out there. I'm going to be doing an eyeshadow collection coming up in the next few weeks. But I thought today I'd go fairly simple on an eyeshadow. Yes, we'll be using 3 colors overall, but still, we're going to start out with 2, and then I'm going to amp it up a little bit with the 3rd shade here. What we'll be using today is the Glam and Beauty Nudes palette. Not a huge fan of this, but it does work. It has a lot of mid-tone, or a lot of neutrally shades, so, but there is a lot of them that have more shimmer than I like. And I think this is supposed to be a dupe, if you can call it that, of the Maybelline Nudes palette. Now I like the Maybelline Nudes palette a lot better than this, but you go with what you got. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 2 shadows. This is what I believe I've heard Emily Noel call the sandwich method. That is where you take one shade and you put it all over your lid from lash line to brow bone. And then you take another shade and put that in your crease. Some people may be wondering, well, why do you do that? Well, because you're wanting, I'll explain about the crease here in a moment, but you want it to, basically the crease color helps to define the eyes a little bit more, and helps that crease to pop a little bit more too. But what we're going to start out with is, I'm going to take the, let's see here, we're going to go at the very top. Well, whenever I'm holding it like this, it's the bottom shade, but whenever you're looking at it head on, whenever you open up the lid, it will be the top, very first one right there, and then we're going to go to the one right next to it is going to be our crease shade. But I'm going to take the, let's see here. Okay, I'm going to take the fluffy brush on this duo that I talked about that has the smaller flat end and then the fluffy end. I'm going to take that fluffy end, and this is rather powdery. Anytime you're using a shadow, it does help to tap off the excess. And you can do that as much as you want to, really. But, I like to tap off the excess so that it doesn't fall down on my face. I tend to do my face and then my shadow. Some people prefer the opposite way. And that's okay. It's whatever you prefer, whatever you like. Now I'm going to take that shadow and put it all over my lid. Now this is more neutrally color. And if you don't feel like there's enough pigment or whatever, you just go back in. And you just build up color all you want to. It is better to start out light and build than to start out heavy and try to take it away. So, that is the eye that I just put it on, my right eye. You can tell it's pretty bright, and that's why I do like this. It is bright, it is in your face color, but it's not over the top, color. I've got the thing sitting on my desk here. So if you're hearing some tapping or whatever, that's what it is. And then I'm doing the other eye here. And you want smooth motions. You don't want to try to jerk it on or whatever. I do a slight, I put it down and then slowly drag, like just a little bit. It's kind of like a pat and drag, basically, is what I do. Because if you try to go all in one, you're more likely to have a patchy eye look. And basically what I'm doing here is I'm putting it, basically making an arch around my eye. Go up to the brow, and then back down. I go from corner to corner doing that. That's how I did it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch brushes here. And I'm going to go in with that smaller flat brush, or the one that I said was a great crease brush. I'm using that one. It's on the opposite end of the angled brush. And I'm going into the shade right next to that. It's a good mid-toned brown. Now if you are really fair-skinned, this right here is a great, I think would be a great crease color for you. But different people have different preferences. And I get it on the top of the brush. And I'm going to put this in the outer V area. The outer V is like if you take your finger and go across your lid, you can feel where the lid ends and the socket begins. That is what I am calling the outer V, right in here. And I'm going to tap this on that outer V. Wherever you lay your brush down first, that is where the most pigment is going to be. So I'm going to put that right in that corner there, outer corner, and tap, 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 tap. It's not crazy pigmented, so I have to go back in. And I tend to want the most definition on that outer area. And then I pull it up into the crease. And then kind of buff it a little bit. A buffing motion, if you ever hear someone say a buffing motion, it's basically making small circular motions. And then a windshield wiper motion is a back and forth motion. So I'll tend to do a combination of the two whenever I'm doing an eye look. I do a buffing motion all the way in to the inner corner, and then do the same thing back. And I'll do that on the other side as well. Tap on the outer corner, like so. And I really build it up to, like I said, because this is not, like I said, this is not a very pigmented palette, but for a beginner, I think it would be a great palette to use. It's about $5 at Walmart. I don't believe you can get this on Walmart.com. I'm not 100% sure though. Glam and Beauty Nudes Palette. And then, like I said, I'm just buffing this in all the way from inner corner to outer corner. Alright, that right there. If you're not wanting to go over the top, this right here is where you'd stop. That's it. Because since we took the shadow in the first place all the way up from the lash line to the brow bone, we've got enough there. I'm going to take it and put just a little bit more on the lid. If you ever feel like you've lost some of the color payoff, you can always go back in after you put the crease color in and build up that lid shade some more. That right there. So that right there is how a lot of people may want to do their shadows, using two colors, because the medium brown helps define the crease a little bit more. You can also use like a bronzer in my, or not bronzer, but a contouring shade. In my contouring for beginners video, I did show taking the contour into the eye socket as well, into the crease. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this single shadow from Maybelline, and it has the little applicator in it. Now this is an option for people that want to use it, but for me, I prefer, instead of using the sponge tip, to use an actual brush, because I can have more control with the brush. These little sponge tip applicators, I throw them away. But this right here is in Nude Glow, and it is such a really pretty color, right there. Let me wipe off the other stuff on my hand. That Maybelline color tattoo is there. Really good. But that right there. Yeah, right there. Is Nude Glow. And to me it looks a lot like the L'Oreal Infallible Amber Rush, but maybe with a little bit more glow. So I do like this very well. And if you do want a shadow to be more pigmented, use your finger. I'm going to take it on my pointer finger and put it on my lid. This here, you can also take it and put it on your lid and then take a buffing brush, or take the blending brush like I showed you, and just buff it into the crease, because it does give quite a bit of shine. That is with Nude Glow, that is without. My right, your left is with. My left, your right is without. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back on, or put it on my left eye as well. I got stuff to do today, so I don't really want to have one eye that looks crazy. But these shadows, you can pick these up at Walmart, you can pick them up at Walgreens. They're the single shadows. They're about $2 to $3 normally, which is not too terrible, but it's not all that great either. Now I will be doing a more advanced tutorial than this, where we go into like lower lash line and more colors and all that stuff. But if you watch my videos at all, then you know that I do multiple colors. I recently did a tutorial where I used multiple colors, and it turns out beautifully. So if you do want to see that, you know, please feel free to check out all my other makeup tutorials, because I have everything from fairly simple to bold. So I do hope that you check those out, as well as hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos, because I do have some more of my makeup collection coming up. I also have some more beginner beauty videos coming up. And if you do have any questions about makeup or whatever, feel free to leave them down below. I'm happy to answer them. And also join me over in Blind Beauty Support on Facebook, because we talk about all things affordable beauty there. If you have any questions there, once you join, feel free to ask. I'm happy to answer whatever you have, and we can all get to know each other. I hope you join me over there, as well as like my Blind Beauty Facebook page. And you can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all that, because I'd love to get to know some of y'all, and let's chat. Thank you so much for watching, and you have a great day. Bye-bye.